In this video, I want to go over creating your app icon. So when you create an app icon, you just have to keep in mind that the icon is specifically geared towards appealing to human interest. It has nothing to do with the ranking of your app. And so when you create an icon, it may be pretty obvious, but I just want to make it clear that you're creating the app icon to look good to those that are seeing it. So if you just imagine someone scanning the App Store listings and they see a whole bunch of icons on the screen, you want to create an icon that catches the eye, that makes people look at your icon over other icons, and makes them then read the title and hopefully click on the app for more information. So it is strictly for human interest, not for app ranking. And like I said, it's the first thing people will see just to determine their interest. And what I would recommend when you create an app icon is you want to stay with the trends. And what I mean by the trends is currently there's Android is up at version 4.4 and iOS is just about at iOS 8. And the current trend, when you look at a lot of the design now, is it has gotten to become very clean, simple, and flat. And I'm going to show you a couple of examples of what I mean by that in a moment. But it is more minimal. Possibly, a couple of years ago, the app icons were a lot busier. They had a lot more depth and, trying to be very cute and fancy. But now it's gotten very clean. And so you want to go with what's trending, because as the trends move, that's also what will appeal to people as they see it more and more. So keep your app icon very similar to what the trends are. And lastly, as I mentioned, don't make it too busy or cluttered. Icons will generally be seen quite small, like on a mobile device. You're not going to be able to pick up a ton of detail with the icon. So you just want to make it very clean. Don't make it too busy or cluttered. And also in a moment, I'm going to go and show you how you can get an app icon created on the cheap for just like $5 or $10 even. And if you don't have any design skills in creating an app icon, there are some very economical ways that you can go about it to create a good-looking professional icon for your app. But first, I want to just go through and show you some examples of what I mean by what's trending now for app icons. And first, I'll go to iOS 7. So on this page, these are icons that are for iOS 7, and to a large part, many of the icons repeat in iOS 8. But as you can see, they're fairly clean, very simple. They're not too fancy. Typically, it's just like one icon of something that helps represent what the app is about. There is the use of gradients for a lot of these, like you can see from the phone icon on the top left or the message icon. They do use subtle gradients. This iTunes logo, the App Store logo, a lot of them do use the subtle gradient in their design. Overall, it is very clean, minimal, and there is that flat look. So a lot of these, it's really just two colors, essentially, 2 or 3 colors made to look very flat. There used to be a lot of desire to make 3D looking icons with a lot of glass effects and make everything try to pop out of the screen. But that trend has now moved on to a much flatter look, which is great for designers because it makes it a lot easier to make an icon that is flat in general. And so that's the way I would go about it for those icons. So here's an example of some Android icons. And again, they are very similar to iOS in the sense of they are very simple, clean, flat. The one thing that I noticed is that there are no use of gradients. The Apple icons did sort of have, for example, like a light green to a dark green, just fading in gradually. But here is an example. There's very little use of gradients. Actually, I don't see any gradients out of all these icons. And so it's good to look at what's trending, what other major publishers for app icons or for apps are for both iOS and Android, and follow those trends. Because if you can look professional like all these other big players, it will definitely help you promote your app and make your app look professional as well. So as I mentioned earlier, if you don't have any graphic design skills, there is a great site called Fiverr, and that's Fiverr.com. There's 2 R's at the end, so Fiverr with an extra R.com. And the concept of this site is for people to do some kind of work for you for $5, and that's inclusive of whatever it is that you need done. And there's a lot of different jobs. You'd be surprised as to what people would be willing to do. And coincidentally, one of them is to make an app icon for you. So here I am on Fiverr's site. I'm just going to click right here. It's got a search box right in the middle of their homepage, and it says, "What are you looking for?" So I'm just going to type in app icon and click Find Services. And here there's a bunch of different people that are willing to create an app icon for $5. And so I can go more into this in a later video, but I would go through these artists, and granted, it is just for $5. So don't expect the world for these. I mean, there's a lot of people that will display their best work initially, and you may not get the same caliber work. But that's where you want to filter through all of these listings and find someone that has a very high rating, has done a lot of jobs, has had a lot of reviews, and overall the samples of their work on the site fits with what you are looking for. So that's the general rule of thumb. And I would actually spend maybe $20 and have 4 different variations of app icons and choose one out of the 4 to go with as the one that you will use. And that gives you a nice range of variation, so you're not just stuck with one design that you may or may not be fully happy with. And a lot of times these designers will be willing to make minor revisions for you. So if you do narrow it down to one icon that you're really happy with, but it just needs a couple of small tweaks, for no extra charge, most designers will be willing to just make those tweaks for you and then provide you with the final app icon. I'm going to create a separate video on Fiverr in itself, just to talk over more details of this. But I did want to mention, if you don't have any design skills to create your own app icon, Fiverr is a great starting point to get one created for a very economical price, and generally the quality is pretty good if you choose the right designer.